All right, Democrats have reached, I think, the obvious conclusion that their only path, sure path to victory, is the burn-it-all-down approach of the neo-Bolsheviks on the streets. Joe Biden's team has formed common cause with those who not only seek the destruction of the nuclear family — if you don't believe me, check out BLM's website — they've actually decided that promoting racial hatred is the only way they can win. They know that Trump's policies, it's obvious, have delivered results for working people of all races, while theirs have largely failed. Now, the left hopes that by inflaming racial division and hiding their candidate, they could avoid a real debate on the issues. So over the weekend, the president responded with two powerful speeches to celebrate our independence and identify the domestic forces now threatening it. His remarks at Mount Rushmore reaffirmed America's identity and inspired millions of Americans who've basically been living in despair because of the one-two punch of the virus and the continuing riots.
These radicals would tear down the very heritage for which men gave their lives to win the Civil War. They would tear down the principles that propelled the abolition of slavery and ultimately around the world, ending an evil institution that had plagued humanity for thousands and thousands of years. Our opponents would tear apart the very documents that Martin Luther King used to express his dream. They would tear down the beliefs, culture, and identity that have made America the most vibrant and tolerant society in the history of the earth. We will proclaim the ideals of the Declaration of Independence, and we will never surrender the spirit and the courage and the cause of July 4th, 1776. Upon this ground, we will stand firm and unwavering in the face of lies meant to divide us, demoralize us, and diminish us.
Now, you can always tell how effective one of the president's speeches is by how frenzied the reaction from liberals.
I actually thought it was some fantasy. He's just desperate.
There was a lot about history, about God and our great country, much of it very ominous.
There was no attempt here to unify the country. It was just a divisive message.
The president threw down the cultural war gauntlet in defense of dead white men.
Inflammatory, hateful, watching it, you realize how disturbed and how disturbing this president really is.
You notice I described liberals, and Kasich and Jennifer Rubin are among them? You bet. Now, if lying was an Olympic sport, these folks would be draped in gold medals. In moments of rare candor, they know that Trump beats Biden hands down on jobs and wages for African Americans. Trump beats Biden on education. He favors liberation for parents and students who are stuck in bad schools. Trump beat Biden on prison reform. Obama and Biden both talked a good game. They didn't get it done. And of course, Trump has done something that Biden never did. He has actually hired and promoted African Americans and other minorities across as many businesses. Now, where Biden and Democrats are content to patronize African Americans with these meaningless symbolic gestures, conservatives actually believe that minorities want what all people want: a fair chance at prosperity and to pursue their happiness in freedom and safety. Trump knows this is only possible with a vibrant, growing economy where all criminals are prosecuted. Meanwhile, Biden thinks he can surf to victory on racial anger stoked by mobs, many of whom are white, who would rather see every city in America burn than a second Trump term. Now, this requires a massive effort to lie and defame, one that an honest press would have exposed long ago. Now, as I've said before, instead of covering the Democrats, the media cover for them. Their tactics and their toxic associations I'm talking about. So long as the end game of any activist or politician is to rid America of Trump, the press will excuse all manner of falsehoods, hypocrisy, and even criminality. So to stoke racial tension, the Biden campaign requires a massive effort to lie and defame, one that, of course, would have already been exposed long ago. Now, when you think back, when you think about how this whole thing went down, how did it go down? It went down after this long shutdown. People had a lot of time on their hands. Again, if we continue to allow these lies and this ongoing slander and defamation to continue, well, what happens? People will continue to lose faith in the system of laws and even in equal protection.
You know, looters got a bad name during the, George Floyd protests, but thank goodness for the looters, man. You have a place called Target. You have a store called Target. You're going to be a target. These places have absolutely contributed to the oppression.
Now, the left is even trying to get the Broadway sensation Hamilton canceled. If you think that's wacky, it is. That's right. There is a cancel Hamilton hashtag out there. Now, never mind that all the key roles, including those of Alexander Hamilton and George Washington, are played by people of color in the musical. Critics say it glosses over key facts. They claim Hamilton was not an abolitionist and traded slaves for his in-laws. The mere fact that it celebrates the founding era in any positive way to good music is ample reason for the left to call for its cancellation. Now, the only thing at this point that's sacred to them is the notion that if you're a leftist, you cannot be questioned or prosecuted for crimes. Yeah, ends justify the means? You bet they do. Past grievances mean never having to say you're sorry. The media will give you a pass for anything. At the same time, they spy racism around every corner.
Smollett says he was assaulted by two masked men who yelled out racial and homophobic slurs. Police are investigating the incident as a possible hate crime.
A horrifying racist incident.
Heinous.
It's ugly.
Crude and cowardly way.
Hate crime.
NASCAR is investigating a horrible incident.
A noose was found in the garage stall of Bubba Wallace.
As much as NASCAR may try to distance itself from that, it's a living, breathing part of their sport.
Oh, and then when Trump calls him on it, albeit via an inartfully worded tweet, he becomes the target.
Do you believe the president sees racism as a potential path to re-election?
Look, there's no doubt that, and I've said this before, this president, his political calculus is all about division, not addition.
And why does the left do all this? Well, simple. To deflect from the Democrats' own horrific record on race, the economy, and crime.
This is now a third week in a row where we have seen children shot and killed here. It's part of a weekend where we saw more than 60 people shot and over a dozen people killed. So just point blank, what is happening right now?
The ecosystem of public safety that isn't just law enforcement, but is local, community-based. And they, too, have really been hit hard by COVID and are now just kind of coming back online and getting their footing.
What? Did you just hear that? Chicago's seen a tragic level of violence since the Black Lives Matter marches started. And it's claiming African-American lives and costing the black community dearly. The bad guys here aren't the folks going to Mount Rushmore. They're criminals murdering children on the streets of our nation's third largest city. 80 people were shot and 17 killed in Chicago last weekend alone, and at least 13 of those were African-American. And it gets even more tragic. Including among the dead is a 7-year-old, Natalia Wallace. She was shot in the head. She was visiting her grandmother for the 4th of July. And sadly, she wasn't the only child killed. In Southeast D.C., 11-year-old Devon McNeil, shot and killed at a 4th of July cookout with his family. Armed thugs in Atlanta murdered 8-year-old Secoria Turner near the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks died at the hands of police. Now, this is senseless and awful killing, and it's obviously left her parents heartbroken, shattered, and asking why.
They say Black Lives Matter. You killed your own. Killed your own this time. Just because of barrier. They killed my baby because she crossed the barrier and made a U-turn. You killed a child. She ain't do nothing to nobody.
Now, every single one of these cities is run by Democrats. And rather than addressing violent crime, drugs, and fatherlessness plaguing so many communities, they just make excuses. They throw out phrases like systemic racism, unconscious bias, or white privilege, and minimizing the importance of personal responsibility, love of one's neighbor, and the value of every human life. So rather than insisting on law and order, safety in every community, including African American communities, this is the best they can offer.
We talk about systemic racism and the trauma and the anxiety, and you think about the leadership or the lack thereof that we have coming from the highest office in the land. I think that you are seeing so many emotions play out, and so too often it's playing out in violence in our streets.
Emotions are playing out? I think some folks are still trying to pretend that all of this mayhem will stop if we just let the Democrats have the White House. Well, we have the Democrats in power in Atlanta, in Chicago, in New York, in Baltimore, and beyond and beyond. What's happened? So this thinking is foolish and naive. The Democrats have shown they're utterly unwilling to restrain the hard left from seizing property and committing violence. And as for the culture wars, why would the radicals stop when they think they're winning? So ignore the folks who say that it just gets better when we let the Democrats have more power. The only way this situation gets better is for Democrats to lose, and lose so often that they're forced to apologize for their relentless slandering of our nation's history, and by extension, the majority of our citizens who still unapologetically love this country and still believe that it's worth celebrating. And that's the angle.